It is November 1st at 8:41 Eastern Standard Time. And I started my day, I guess, Central Time. Trying to get up earlier than I anticipated. As I was going to bed last night, I always think about what I'm doing the next morning. And then I started thinking, wait a minute, this delivers in Indiana, and most of that state is in Eastern Standard Time. So, it all worked out. I am delivering particle board. Here. I got here about, I don't know, an hour ago, and parked over there where those trucks are, north of the lot. Another Maverick truck just pulled in, and walked in, my paperwork signed in. There's a clipboard with, in most shippers and receivers, hold on a second here, might be interruption, we'll see. Alright, yes, most shippers and receivers, they have signs everywhere. And sometimes it's kind of obnoxious, the amount of I'm sorry, this thing is shaking all over the place. I got to balance on the steering wheel. But anyway, they have what may appear to be an obnoxious amount of signs for drivers to read and expect that because they put a sign there, that you know everything you need to do. Not thinking in any way that, oh, they might miss one or two. But you know, it wasn't an issue this morning. It's just, I'm pointing out there's a fact that a lot of these places, there's a lot of signs, and I sit there and I read every single one of them. So it takes me a few minutes to even check in. Anyway, I signed the clipboard. They have a clipboard to sign in. I'm assuming that's so they have an order of unloading, but I signed in at like an hour ago. And then I went back to my truck thinking they might come out and get me, maybe not. Made myself some food, was watching some YouTube, and then at 8:55 I'm like, well, I'm gonna walk back in because I still had my paperwork. There was nobody there to take it. Usually that's my indication that they know I'm here, so that they've got my paperwork. And so I walked back in. I was parked over in that area there where all the trucks are nosed forward, including the Maverick truck. And anyway, I walked in, and then there was a large group of people in the shipping office, which there should have been before because they open up at 7 or 7:30, and there was no one. Anyway, they spoke with a lady. I was like, do you need my paperwork? And they're like, oh yeah, I'll take that. And I'm like, oh, so I should have stayed there when I signed the clipboard until somebody took my paperwork, and then I probably would have been unloaded already, is my feeling. Because there was no other flatbeds. Over here is where they unload all the box trucks, and this is the single lane that I'm parked in. If you can see the white stripe on the ground on each side. This is the single lane that they have available for flatbed unloading. So there's nobody else parked in here. I could have been parked in here, untarping and unstrapping. Now they're unloading. Forklift, I feel my truck moving. So they'll have me unloaded in a couple minutes here. That'll go pretty quick. And then I'll get my paperwork, and then I can go park in those spaces over there again and wait for my next assignment. But I did get a message on my OmniTrax that said the Qualcomm is down, or is having issues, so it'll take a while to get it squared away. There's also construction cones everywhere. And in fact, the street is blocked off right there, which is where my GPS wanted to bring me down this way. But at the end of the road down there, it's completely blocked off. So I'm like, luckily there was a center turning lane, and I was able to put my flashers on and put my brakes on and look at the GPS and say, okay, because it was pitch black out. I'm like, what other alternative is there to get to this particular facility back here? And I was able to locate it, and it all worked out. But it's just there's bump there because they're still paving the street. Even though there's new pavement here, it hasn't quite matched up with the concrete that they have poured for sidewalks. So it's a little bit interesting when trying to back in blindside, which is what I did to get into this place. And but that's it for now. We'll see what happens. This is the beginning of my week because it's Tuesday, And that's when this load was scheduled to deliver. I did drive a lot on Saturday, and so yeah, I did get my 34-hour reset, but unfortunately they didn't have an appointment on Monday. So we'll see how this goes. It could be a very entertaining start to my week, which hopefully will be over on Friday, since I stayed out this weekend. And but the one thing I do know is that at Maverick Transportation, when you stay out for the weekend, you're in the computer system. At least when I was showed the inner workings of the office, your code or the information that identifies me as me in their system changes to a different color. So when planning trips for the weekend, I get the higher priority because when you got 1,500 truck drivers, I may be exaggerating, maybe it's 1,200, I don't know, 1,200 to 1,500 drivers, there has to be a sense of priority when trying to plan everybody to go home, because some weekends not everybody's going to make it home. So if you stay out a weekend and you're a go home every weekend driver, well, then they color code you, so next weekend I will get the priority over somebody who that made it home last weekend. Now we both might make it home, but at least I'll get the priority because I had to stay out. So it's a way that they ensure that if you do get stuck out one weekend, they are actively trying to mitigate you from being out a second weekend. At least that's my experience. I've never been out 2 weekends in a row, never. So anyway, that's it for now. They've got like 6 more bundles that they're pulling off. Almost empty. It's the first of November, and I'm surprised at how warm and humid it is. I mean, is winter gonna ever show up, or is this gonna be the Indian summer / Indian winter terminology for saying a less than cold winter? We shall see. El Niño is in effect right here in Indiana, is my guess. I'm a professional weather guy, so